So we're probably missing about 20 or so, but if they show up, they're very late. And we were going to have networking time anyway, so we got it done in the beginning. We have to be out of the room at 5:30, and I know we're going to 5. People have to leave, but that's our schedule for the day. So my presentation with Jeff's will take maybe 15 minutes. Brett's is maybe about between 15 and 30. I don't know what he ended up with. So we still have some good slack in here and time for networking also. So I am Marty Waldman, and NDIA chapter president, and we have a terrific board here. NDIA is a national organization, and there never was one there was one in this area maybe about 8 years ago, but it was centered on the construction business for some reason. I don't know if there's anybody in the room that knows more history about that, but so that was a little bit of a surprise, but there was never anything that built any bridges to the military here, Nellis or Creech. So we're real privileged to be able to do that. There's a whole lot of great industry here and great military here. It's it's what NDIA does. So that's our mission here, is to bring military and industry together. It's the total mission. And this room is a lot of people I know, probably about 80%, and the other 20% will meet and chat. So just like to introduce our board people as I see them here. So here's Jeff Holmes over here, and he's going to present after me. Jeff's doing programs, and if I point at you and miss, I didn't mean to. George, I think you're the next one, George Wagner. And George keeps all our administrative things working and prompts me at the right time and says, Marty, we should be starting now, and we should be finishing, and this is what happened during the meeting. He's just terrific with all that. Has a lot of experience from San Diego. Got the NDIA going down there. The machine that is today, George was the engine behind that. And then how fortunate he moves to Las Vegas. He's a retired 2-star admiral from the Navy. And let's see, Reggie is over here, and Reggie Richardson, long time, great friend. I've learned so much about him from cybersecurity, and look forward to learning much more. See him to get on his mailing list. He does presentation right in this room pretty much every month, and free education outreach with all that. It's just terrific. And let's see. Oh, you blended in. So Dave Radcliffe, sorry about that. I didn't mean to do it. Dave is keeping track of all our finances, and also he's great interface to Nellis and Creech with the leadership there, and just terrific guy. I've really enjoyed getting to know him over the past probably year and a half or so. So another person, he's not here. He's our legal counsel, Joe Brown. He'll be here. He's tied up at another meeting doing legal things, and he heard me talking. Very good. So perfect timing. I didn't plan it that way. And did I miss? Pinar is helping out with Jeff. Where is? Oh, back there. So, and but anyway, I'm gonna pass the mic around so you all can say your name 10 seconds each. And if you don't want to, it's going to be recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded saying who you are because you don't want to be, you could just pass the mic along to someone else. But we're going to have a video recording of this that we'll post online with our website, and I'll email everybody links. So.
No, just Jeff Holmes. I'm responsible for programs and events, and I'll be briefing you a little bit on some ideas that we have, and we'll be soliciting your input for how we're going to make this chapter actually benefit you, which is the most important thing.
Tom McCarthy, Lockheed Martin rep in town.
Greg AECOM Test and Training.
Leo Galat, Aero Targets International.
Scott Stevens with Hoosier Desert Training.
Frank Villanueva representing myself.
Dave Wexler with Hoosier Desert Training.
Pat Felbert, Scientific Research Corporation, working up at Nellis on unmanned systems things.
Sherry Herman, U.S. Department of Energy.
Kathy Bax, Wi-Fi in the Park.
Danny Bax, Wi-Fi in the Park, representing Viasat, who's a communication contractor for the military.
Hi, I'm Katerina Simic, and I'm with Extreme Drone Circuit Racing. We do FPV racing here in Las Vegas.
Hi, I'm Tom McNamara. I'm with Nevada Cans.
Reza Karamuz with Grab.
Dave Radcliffe, I'm treasurer, and I'm with the Nell support team.
George Wagner, retired Navy and the chapter secretary.
Bob Janarone, Brainlike. We do airborne processing images.
Tom McGrath with USI. I'm also on the NELA support team and the vice president for the AFA.
I'm with Joe.
Kanarcha Leon, TGBCA.
Reggie Richardson, chair for STEM here in AppWorks, and reach out and community outreach for different R&D events.
I'm Joe Brown. I'm with the Colasar and Latham law firm. I'm a past commander of the NELA support team, and I'm a proud founder of the Nevada Military Support Alliance.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Evans, president of the Urban Chamber, but also a retired Air Force engineer, as well as a former DOE engineer. Glad to be here.
Hi, my name's Ellie, and I'm an Air Force pilot, currently stationed here in Vegas, working up at Creech.
Hi, I'm Tom, and I'm also an Air Force pilot up at Creech.
Hi, Joellen Brainer from the Homewood Suites by Hilton Las Vegas Airport, the True by Hilton Las Vegas Airport, and the Air Force Association.
Rusty Malvo, Mission Support and Services.
John White from the Nias board.
Muhammad Tarabiya, College of Engineering at UNLV.
Gil Waldman, Nuclear Safety Basis Engineer, Ndia National Labs, and more importantly, Marty's brother.
Michelle Cho with Mass Mutual.
Joanne Lemming, Base 11.
And I'm Bob Cunningham, and I'm with GC Tuit, presently supporting Nias.
Okay, so our two important concepts here. First is to let you know about NDIA. Even a couple of people said, how can I become a member? That's music to our ears. So that's what I'm here to present you about, the benefits of it, what we're looking to do here. And then each time we have an event, it's going to spotlight someone from our community who wants to give a presentation about what they do that ties in with all this. And kicking us off with that is Brett and Nias. So if you all, with your company, want to do something future, you'll work with Jeff. He's putting together a master calendar. So we shall begin. And I think that's self-explanatory. Okay, so a big thing here to remember is that our vision is to make a difference here in Las Vegas. There's a lot of people in here that are doing excellent things, but sometimes we don't all have the synergy that we could have if we worked more together and invited other people from other groups to come and know what we're doing and have more collaboration. So the whole purpose of NDIA is that's a totally neutral organization that does that. We're just here to facilitate bringing people together. And by the showing in this room, it's a very successful, terrific thing. And so we had our ribbon cutting back on January 9th. And Joe and his law firm over there in Tivoli Village hosted us. And here's the ribbon cutting picture. I don't know if this has laser pointer. Anyway, so to the right is General Carlisle. He's head of the NDIA. And he came out for our ribbon cutting. He used to be Air Combat Command commander. and he's now in D.C. with that. And General Holmes has replaced him. And a number of the people in this room are also in that picture. And he said to us, as part of his little speech with this, is that he couldn't believe that there has been no chapter here. And then he said this thing that's kind of stuck in our minds, and you all probably understand what this means, is that the way Nias goes, the entire Air Force goes. So we have, from those words, from his perspective, and he has like the best perspective. He's NDIA head, understands that, and head of Air Combat Command. It's like, this is our home. So whatever he says, there's a lot of wisdom behind it. So we're here to bring that vision forward with him. And here's a great picture. We're welcoming you here, and this is a great picture with George shaking on the right, ex-governor, retired Governor List's hand here at our ribbon cutting. And this is what we're about, to welcome you in, be a part of this, to serve you in this community. And our mission, so the typical mission and then the goals to get to it. So this is very carefully thought out and discussed with our board to word this just right, to carry the feel for it, is that we want to be the primary catalyst organization, totally neutral. We just want to bring people together in organizations for a win-win unification between U.S. DoD organizations and our industry. And then also, not only that, crosstalk between industries too, collaboration with industries. Really important. So if you do something that I know is kind of quick with the introductions, but you heard something that's like, well, I'd like to talk to that person. You might not have met them otherwise if you weren't here today. So talk to them. We'll have a little bit of networking time at the end. So our goals and objectives, we meet monthly to at least get things going as a board. We want to keep that momentum up. And we're defining, it's ongoing, but these are the goals and objectives we see. And I don't know if you can all see that it's probably pretty small back there, so I'll summarize each. And there's a lot of industry news and policies and insights that we get. Not only like I get emails from headquarters, but also there's the website where they post a lot of things, and we can send out timely emails locally if we know something's going on here that you'd like to know about. There's a lot of benefits to membership. It's $40 a year, and I get into that. It's like unbelievable low price. And if you work for a company that is a member already, it's free if they belong. And then if you're a military, it's free. So you just couldn't ask for better low price entry connection into the kind of networking that we provide. And like this is what we're doing today, professional networking, spotlighting local industries. We want to keep doing these things and bring your friends and coworkers and other companies you know of into this. And also, we're going to have very high-end talks with leadership from the U.S. and also, so our next event, we're looking at, I think, May 22nd. General Gerson's going to come and talk about like an RPV roadmap and his vision for where the Air Force is going with what's coming down the road so we can prepare. It's also putting the word out from what the Air Force is doing so industry can know and make preparations for that and say, wow, yeah, I could contribute to that. So, and also for the Air Force to know what all you guys are doing. And so also we'll have forums for this also between government and industries, pretty much just between us. And then there's a lot going on in the area. Maybe just a show of hands of who has heard of Air Force Works in the room. Okay, so maybe about half. Terrific, unbelievable. They picked Las Vegas. That is here. I've been there a number of times, met with their leadership, as a few of us others have. And they're sponsoring things. Actually, their doors haven't even officially opened yet, but they've done all this stuff. So I can only imagine what's coming down the road. Terrific space. I can send out a link. I'll remember to do that so you all can look them up. They have events Fridays at Air Force Works once a month. You can go and have a tour of the location and see what they're doing. It's like 15,000 square feet by Flamingo and Howard Hughes right near Bahama Breeze restaurant, just to the north of that. Unbelievable. And this was the first one that they opened, and it's in Las Vegas. So that shows you something very special there, that Air Force leadership chose Las Vegas to do this. It's huge. It's unbelievable. I can't say enough great words. And so anyway, so I encourage y'all to check that out, and I'll send out information on that so you can find the website. Okay, STEM, we're really so gifted to have STEM leadership here. Reggie is working our STEM, and Reggie, as I mentioned, specialty in cybersecurity, and he's going to bring that into the classroom. Terrific career opportunities, and there's a lot of, as you know, you hear all these stories, you know, the 8-year-old that knows all these things, and then when he's 10, he gets hired for $200,000 a year because he do a lot of amazing things on the computer. So it's that kind of thing, and Reggie's very aware and understands cybersecurity end of that, and to reach out into the schools and implement programs for us. So that's a very important thing. We're going to hold annual awards dinner probably around the holiday time, and whatever we accomplish between now and then. Again, we're in our beginning stages too, but we want to have these focal points. Okay, and then also there's probably a number of you in the room with Department of Energy. The lady in the sunglasses over there. Where's your sunglasses? Yes. Extensive background. You all know Steve Curtis pretty much. She's known Steve for a couple of 100 years, I think. And so we're going to bring DOE into all this too. Is anyone in the room aside from Sherry came out from my brother? Okay, and you come out. Okay, so start your background. So, okay, great. You still have connections and know number of people. So, great. And my brother actually works out at Kirtland and commutes every week. So he came back very recently, I guess. And so, yeah, a lot of great things. Space, cyber. I have a heavy space background. And Ellie knows a lot about space too. Okay. Just real quick, she had mentioned something. You were just up for a Women in Aerospace conference? Okay. Awesome. So that kind of thing, and you all probably have your own special thing in connection. That's what we're looking to funnel in together here. So, and so again, just a little summary here: unifying our industrial and technical base with government, and then we have a connection to the U.S. and world stage. We're focused on America for what we're doing here. And that's featured through headquarters, and what they send out, would like to have national conferences here. Like I mentioned, San Diego, where George is from, huge conference. Every year our company goes to that. It's called Navy Gold Coast in San Diego, just terrific, and it's sponsored by Ndia. And that's actually how Ndia registered in my mind. It's like, whoa, do we have one of these here? And I found out we didn't. So, and then they all knew George, and here we are. So again, just $40 a year, free if you're military government, and actually nobody can leave the room if you don't sign up. So just kidding. So anyway, we look at this. This is a movement. This is very important for our area. I think it's what we've all been wanting to have happen, to have this unification in Las Vegas for crosstalk. And that's what the appeal was with this. We had a lot of discussion, like, is this important to bring here? You know, AFA's doing their thing, this, that, whatever, different organizations. but there was nothing that was totally cross-curricular, can bring in the military. And that's why this organization is important, and it has a lot of proven history that it's able to do that in probably about 30 other major cities. And anyway, Jeff is coming up next. And if you think of any stuff, we'll have a little Q&A at the end before bringing up Brett. Go. Yeah, it'll be best for...
I've never been accused of not being able to be heard. I take it I'm the only Army guy in the room? Okay, good, yeah. So we've got you outnumbered. So I'm Jeff Holmes, and I'm a longtime NDIA member. So if you really kind of want to understand a little bit about it, I've been an NDIA member since the late 90s. I moved out here about 5 years ago, so I'm not as networked in as many of you are. But my objective was to join with Marty and George and Dave and Mike, who's not here, and Reggie, and to bring some of the experiences that we've had with NDIA to bear on this region. And while it's National Defense Industries Association, there's a lot of other things, broad terms of defense that we need to include, which is the test site and all the others. So as you go through the day and as you're thinking of things that you would like to see, and we'll get in, I'll show you kind of a notional calendar that we've outlined that are going to bring some events, hopefully to the area. So what the heck are our events supposed to do? Well, primarily what we're trying to do is develop programs that support the mission, goals, and objectives that were outlined by Marty. I think that's first and foremost one of the most important things that we could do. But the second bullet to me is more important than any of them up there, and that's build programs that meet the needs of the chapter's members. So you're the members, and what we need to do is put on programs and events and create those scenarios for dialogue that benefit you. And in my experience, one of the more interesting things that I found as being a member of NDIA for as long as I have is I got a lot more out of NDIA by talking to the members and understanding what those members did. And it generated business for me. It expanded my network. And sometimes it was probably more valuable to me than hearing one of our flags get up and talk about what the future looks like a few years from now. I spent a lot of time as a retired Army guy in the logistics arena, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But I found I did a lot of work in retail, and with the exception of guys like Amazon and stuff like that, if you do work in retail and you leave for 10 years and you come back, they're stuck right where they were when you left 10 years ago. So part of what we need to do is not only hear what the government organizations need from industry, but we in industry need to inform the government organizations of what they need to be asking us for and what's available out there. Otherwise, we can't drive this thing in the rearview mirror. The whole thing here is if we're not developing programs that enhance the membership and enhance opportunities for you guys, then I'll have failed, and I'll be happily one and done at that point. And also link the programs that have that link to the national NDIA programs and events. So what are those? NDIA has a number of events around science and technology, around cybersecurity. I'm going in May to Tampa to the Logistics Forum, and it's an annual logistics forum. Most of you are probably not logistics folks, but we'll go there and we'll have all of the service chiefs of logistics there, all of the 3 and 4 star. We'll have the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs for the J4 will be there. The heads of acquisition technology and logistics for the Department of Defense will be there, along with all of the defense contractors. So one thing Marty didn't mention NDIA has about 1,600 members. Interestingly, the majority of those members are small, medium-sized businesses. Even though we have the Lockheeds and the Raytheons and the Boeings and the bigs, there's a lot of small, medium-sized businesses there. So great networking opportunities, not only in the local area, but also to get involved with some of the national events that are out there. And we've tried to put some programs together that will kind of mirror those national events. So what I've tried to do is to take a look at how we could, and I don't want to get stuck on this too much, but get into sort of a quarterly cadence, because we can all have meetings, we can all come together, we can break bread, have a few beers, we can do that, but that's not going to get us the value that we need. So I kind of looked at how we are structured in the typical government quarterly calendar, and to go down through and look at it. Where we've got some general themes in the quarter, and some of which will go each quarter. So, and we'll talk about this tomorrow in our board meeting. But things like STEM is really a cadence, something that has to be going on constantly. So we'll do some of those things. We'll intersperse that with some work from. I think we have General Burt kind of lined up in July. We've got General Gersten in May, so we'll get a number of others to fill in the blanks. And we try to look at this and say, there's some other things in here too that we need to look at. Some things like the legislative affairs as we come up for midterm elections. What's our voice of industry to the people that are going to be representing us in Congress, who don't know that we really exist yet, to some extent. But make our voices heard for there as well. And so we kind of outlined it and said each quarter we're going to end up having, kind of one headliner, a big headliner. So like General Gersten will be a big headliner in May. It looks like we're probably going to be doing it up at Nellis at the Officers Club. So it'll be a big headlining event. But then do some other smaller events where we get people from our membership to come up and provide, like we're doing today with NIAS, to give us a quick 30 minutes of overview of what they do, open it up for networking, and have a little bit of a social event. And try to link them as best we can to the quarterly themes. But the primary thing is making sure that we are focused on enhancing the benefits to you as the members. And to provide those networking opportunities where you can each get together and talk among yourselves. So this is kind of a notional, I call it a representative list of meetings, some things that we've begun to pull together. These aren't locked in stone yet, but they will be because we've got to line them out pretty far in advance in order to line out these speakers. So you can see that as we go through, we've got the General Gersten, Brigadier General Burt. We also want to make sure we're involving academia and getting the local educational institutions in here of all varieties, not just UNLV, but also I think some of the Clark County school districts and some of the other folks in there, particularly as we get into more of the STEM and we start to look at some of the things that the younger kids are doing out there today that probably well beyond anything that I would have ever attempted. I've got a 10-year-old granddaughter, which is one of the two reasons why I'm here. And, she's into robotics and engineering during spring break. I had spring break. I was out, working somewhere, but it's very interesting to see what the dynamics are of these young kids. And also, I think Ella brought it up. There's another division that we haven't gotten to yet as we start to. It's called Women in Defense, and that's a fairly big organization nationally now that grew up starting probably early 2000s to work that into the NDIA agenda. So the other key thing here, the last bullet, and these aren't by any means locked in stone, but we've got to do a bit more on the small business community and look for where we have great small businesses out there that you may not even know about, and to bring them to bear on our membership. So to make any of this work right now, it's me. We're going to put together an execution team. I think we got Ishmael and Putter to help us get the team put together, and begin to take this out to the other members. So I'm going to give you my email address. It's Jeff, Jeff.Holmes, Holmes 60 at gmail.com. And what I would ask for is any ideas that you have, things that interest you, lateral organizations that we should be interfacing with, that jointly we can bring some more interest to bear for the memberships. So feel free to email me. I do respond, and I'll get back to you. And we need to get your information to be able to make this work. So I'll open up any particular questions that you might have. Yes, sir. Thank you. And you're one of the folks that I probably need to talk to when we break and figure out a way we can work together on this. So how many of you, I'll just ask one more question before I turn it over to Brett. How many of you are not NDI members yet? Okay, so the registration forms are right back there on the counter. But it's very easy. You just go, and the easiest, simplest way is ndia.org, and you get on the website. You can join. It's $40 to take a credit card. You get a magazine every month that's actually pretty informative. And it is probably one of the best values you're going to get out of $40. Or you can get 2 beers at the Knights game. Yeah, actually, it's more than 240. All right. No other questions. I'm going to turn it over to yes. I don't, but we'll get it up there. Right. All right. Thank you very much.
So while I get this presentation up here, how many of you are familiar with Nias? What we do, what we're attempting to do in our work. Okay. Well, my name is Brett Conda. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Nias. Thank you to Marty and the whole NDIA crew for having me here, and I'm excited to be a part of this. So I'm going to do a quick background on who we are, our past, what we do, and then I'd really like to open it up to Q&A. And for anyone who's shy with Q&A, please don't be, because I know everyone's going to have questions, and please, any question that comes to your mind, please let me know. So back in 2012, the Governor's Office of Economic Development went into a competitive bid process with the Department of Transportation and the FAA to become one of 6 FAA-designated UAS test sites. In 2013, the announcement was made that the entire state of Nevada, and specifically GOED, won that designation, and that was for a lot of different reasons. The 2 biggest ones being Nellis and Creech in our history of unmanned systems here in the state. So it was a natural fit for the FAA and the DOT to come here and do testing. So for the first 2.5 years of the organization's existence, there was a program management office from the East Coast that helped run the test site. About 3 years ago, that group left, and we brought in full-time employees to help run the organization. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, We're funded by the Governor's Office of Economic Development, and we run the test site on behalf of the Governor's Office of Economic Development. So, our overarching goal in Nevada is to grow the industry in any way, shape, and form possible. We have a couple of different strategies that we use to do that. I can go over those here in just a minute, but we really do take, just like the NDIA, a collaborative mentality. We try and work with as many folks as possible, whether that be defense, any of the government agencies, all the way to the startup that is raising capital, and try and find ways to work together, ultimately recruit these companies to become Nevada domiciled and conduct their operations here in Nevada. So, because we're a 501c3 nonprofit and not a government agency, we have the ability to move a lot quicker, be more agile, and really be flexible in the type of business opportunities that we bring into the state. There are a number of government agencies that have found a home here in Nevada when it comes to unmanned systems and testing. I'll go over those here in just a minute. But again, being a nonprofit, we are able to be very flexible in what we do and who we work with. And one of our business models, and a number of the companies here in this room today are Nevada and Nias teammates. Much like a government agency, we go through a process to help create cash flow opportunities for companies. We call that the Nevada Air Tasking Order process. So we will bring opportunities that come to the state level, and we'll solicit those out to these teammates here. And this is probably 75% of the teammates that we have. A few of them didn't want to be listed. So these are some of the companies that are, well, companies, cities, universities, nonprofits. These are the network that we do have here at Nias. And so what we do is, in a perfect example, a few weeks ago, and some of you may have heard about this project, the NASA UTM, Bob Cunningham in the back has been our program manager for this now. We did a week-long testing up at the Reno State Airport. We solicited that opportunity out to our teammates, ended up having about 10 teammates up there for a week of flying and testing unmanned traffic management technologies. And that's just one example of what we do for our tasking order process. So part of my job as business development is getting companies like this here in Nevada, getting them interested in what we're doing, showing them the facilities that we have to fly at, the community support that we have, the government support that we have, and ultimately trying to get them to come here and set up shop and fly a lot in Nevada skies. So some of the things that we do. Because we're the test site, we receive public certificates of authorization from the FAA that allow us to fly and conduct R&D operations outside of what current FAA Part 107 regulations are. Is everybody pretty familiar with Part 107 and how that works? No? Okay, so perfect. So in August of 2016, the FAA passed Part 107, which is the framework for commercial drone operations. It's a 60-question multiple choice test that you have to take, test your background on aviation, regulation, sectional reading, weather, things like that. And once you pass that test, you are able to fly drones in the national airspace commercially. Highly restrictive at the moment and highly regulated. There is a waiver process that you can go through to do things such as flying at night, flying multi-aircraft operations, flying in different airspaces. Obviously, the Vegas Valley is about as controlled as it gets, so you would have to go through a waiver process to fly in Bravo. But as the test site, we have the ability to fly higher, fly further, fly different types of missions because we have certificates of authorization with the FAA. And all the data that we collect and everything that we do is ultimately sent back to the FAA so they can help draft commercial drone laws and policy. So as I've said a few times now, the flexibility in what we do is the reason that we're a nonprofit and not a government agency. And these are just some of the things that we do here. We are very focused on STEM and workforce development. We do host drone training courses here in Las Vegas and up and down the state to help develop what skills that people already have, and where they see drones applying to their business, they have the ability to come here and learn how to fly safely, learn the regulations, and go through an 18-hour course of basically learning how to get ready for your Part 107 test and getting some hands-on flight system training as well. So brief org chart here of kind of the way that we're set up. Our higher headquarters is the Governor's Office of Economic Development. Work directly with the NG organizations. John White is our chairman from UNLV, and we do as much work as we possibly can facilitating their different research projects here in Southern Nevada and Northern Nevada. So what's unique about the Nevada test site is our entire state's the test site. The other 6 have affiliations with research institutions and universities. And so they're generally funded that way through the universities and the research institutions. So we have obviously the most amount of land to fly in, the most locations, but we're also unique because we're set up as a nonprofit and we're the only one that operates that way. The rest bring in business to conduct R&D at their locations. We have the entire state to fly. We've really haven't done much in restricted airspace because our charter is to develop safe integration into the NAS and not necessarily restricted. So I'll just kind of breeze through these here so everybody knows what our test sites are and where we do actually fly. Mesquite has a test site. Obviously, everybody knows where Mesquite is. The airport allows us to fly out of there as well. This is a unique project that we worked on and announced very recently. We partnered with the City of Henderson and the Nevada State College to develop the Henderson Unmanned Vehicle Range, which is actually right next to the Nevada State campus when you're heading out to Boulder City. It's a 6-acre plot of land that's being developed for state-of-the-art drone use for the colleges to be able to use and ultimately facilitate, not only flights from the the NG organizations, but also commercial entities as well. Yeah, you can fire them at me as soon as I'm almost done. I'm just going to cruise through these locations here. So this is the rendering of what's going to be out at Hover in the not too distant future. So as you can see, this is a very unique location. There's not very many sites like this in the United States that can facilitate drone operations and most importantly in an urban environment. Most drone ranges that you're going to see throughout the U.S. are extremely remote. This is really the only urban test site in the U.S. that gets this close to a major metropolitan city. Base 11 is developing a location out in Boulder City. This Boulder City location is going to be a massive project in Boulder City that is going to be able to facilitate all different types of flight, drone racing, commercial, government, R&D. But these are some renderings of what the facility is going to look like here. Well, we're hoping by the middle of the year. And so this will be a 3-year project. Phase 1 is hopefully going to be done here in the middle of the year. And as the next 2 years develop, we're going to see this site be developed into really a world-class location for flying and testing. The Reno-Stead Airport is where the NASA UTM testing takes place. We have a facility up there at the terminal building called the Nuance Center. It's a C2 center for operations out at the UAS range at the Reno-Stead Airport. There's been a lot of activity here. And really, our organization is agnostic to all of the sites. Whatever the benefits are of that site, we'll make sure that the client has what they need, and the company that's coming into Nevada to fly, we want to make sure that they have the facilities and locations that are conducive to their type of testing. The middle of the state, which is generally where a lot of the large systems do their testing, up at Hawthorne, we facilitate generally flights of Group 2 systems, a little bit into Group 3, and we fly right out of the airport there. So it's a pretty unique location, remote. In this industry right now, a lot of people like to do their R&D testing in as remote a location as possible. So this is a good site for that. Silver Springs, similar situation to Hawthorne, also remote, but also has airport infrastructure, and we can conduct large testing out there as well. So there's a few others. Tonopah and Beatty, we have certificates of authorization there. So at each one of these locations, we have certificates of authorization to fly, sometimes up to 3,000 feet AGL, larger systems, extended visual line of sight, and different types of operations that Part 107 doesn't allow. So with that, I will open it up to Q&A, and we can really get into the fun stuff. In the future. Right now, they do not have any UAS specific programs. They're going to start to develop curriculum, but really the vision for the hover site is that students are going to be able to walk out of their dorms and go and fly drones, as well as commercial companies can go out there and test as well and use the facilities. But that's in development. Similar to College of Southern Nevada as well. I think they're getting ready to announce their engineering program. So. We haven't done anything specifically with DARPA yet. We've had a few conversations. They wanted to hold an event here in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. I don't know if it ever happened, but other than conversations, nothing in full. They do, yeah. That was part of the conversation, exactly right, where we could fly in the Nias as opposed to restricted, because it's hard to get into restricted airspace with some of the folks that they're inviting. Absolutely. Sure. So what we've found over the last couple years is that the technology and the funding are coming from Silicon Valley. The technology is being built in Silicon Valley. We're not going to compete with Silicon Valley when it comes to that. However, they have nowhere to test. So the passenger carrying drones, the cargo delivery drones, the avionics that are being built with artificial intelligence, and they need places to test their systems, they've all been migrating over to Nevada. They've been flying in northern Nevada, the middle of Nevada, and they've found a home testing larger systems, so greater than 55 pounds. They've been able to test at Silver Springs, Reno Stead, Hawthorne, and we've seen that's been really the focus is larger systems and extended visual line of sight. Well, they're testing components. They're testing a lot of the times. This what they're building is so new that they're retrofitting helicopters. They're retrofitting helicopters that, with the components that they've built, have never taken off. So they not only want to collect data, they want the FAA to become more familiar with what they're doing. And so they go through us as the test site because, like I said, everything that we do, we have to submit to the FAA on a quarterly basis. And so, a lot of it right now is early on flight testing, predetermined patterns, and a lot of times just hover flights. But they're unmanned, so that's kind of the unique aspect of this, right? Is there's nobody in the cockpit. Still in development. So what we do is a couple of the companies up here are sense and avoid companies. The FAA integration office feels like they haven't collected enough data yet to make any decisions. So it's still being tested. There is ground-based sense and avoid, airborne sense and avoid that we've been testing, but nothing's been decided yet. Oh, yep. Sure. Yeah. So under our COAs, oh, sure. Yeah. The question was, what have the developments been in BVLOS flight? So under our COAs, we're allowed to do extended visual line of sight, and so we can daisy chain visual observers while maintaining comms. But true beyond visual line of sight, we haven't done any true BVLOS testing yet. There's only been one Pathfinder project that did it, but we've been pushing the boundaries of extended visual line of sight as much as possible. We've done up to 90-mile flights, 90-mile round trip flights. So that's pushing the boundary, but true BVLOS is the question that the entire industry has. And so I'll get into here in a minute. The most interesting thing that's happening right now in the industry is a Department of Transportation UAS integration pilot program that I can get into here in a minute. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of LTE testing over long ranges. That has its issues in remote locations, obviously, but generally that's been the method, is LTE testing. No, not the only platform, but very common one. I'm not the technical guy. I'll give this mic to Bob if we're going to ask those questions. Go ahead.
Come on down.
ADSB is undoubtedly going to be, because it is a requirement in manned aircraft, it's going to be a requirement in unmanned aircraft. And ADSB can be either direct or it can be satellite enabled for the reporting. So if you have a satellite connection, if you have a cell phone connection, or if you have a direct radio connection, it all works. Some of the birds that we had up in the recent NASA tests actually had, and they were small, relatively small aircraft, under 55 pounds, but they had ADSB on board. And so the electronics is getting that small, and it works. So we weren't testing that for this particular flight test program, but the aircraft had it on board, and they demonstrated actually internally the fact that it frankly does work. And guess what? We can see them on displays the same as we can any other aircraft that has that capability. Yep. I believe before my time there, have we done any work with Desert Rock and any communication with Desert Rock? In the past, before my time, we haven't done anything in the past 2.5 years at Desert Rock, but before that there was some work being done. Yeah, and there's a lot of the counter UAS testing that happens up at the NNSS, and that's a perfect place to do it because we can't do any signal jamming in the NAS. It's a perfect place, absolutely. Right. Yep. Exactly. Right. So not recently, but in the past, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Sure. So we sit on a number of different boards and subcommittees for the FAA. And not only do we send the technical data back to the FAA, but a huge piece and problem in the commercial drone industry is perception. So public perception and the way people view flight operations and what's actually happening. I don't think I need to go any further than that. People have, generally negative connotations. They see that it's going to be great in the future, but part of that policy and procedure is managing what the public thinks and managing what the feedback is from the public. So there's a combination of both, I would say. The technical perspective, which we're right on the cutting edge of, and I'd say that for whatever reason, package delivery companies and cargo delivery companies have really taken a liking to Nevada. And so we sit on the FAA Small Cargo Workshop Board. And all of that is managing operations over people, flight over people, and ultimately flying
in controlled airspace in a safe manner. So the rules and the regulations are going to be more defined as part of this Department of Transportation project starts, which we're hoping comes out here soon. So the program was announced. President Trump sent out a call to Secretary Chow at the Department of Transportation to speed up drone integration into the NAS. And so what they did was create the UAS integration pilot program. And so we spent December and January writing the application on behalf of the Governor's Office of Economic Development. And so what it is they are designating locations, both states and cities, to see if they can locally manage their airspace and their operations. The lead applicant had to be a public body, so a state or a city or a university, and they're going to name 10 initial locations to be able to do testing. BVLOS, ops over people, UTM capabilities, and we were really excited with the way that turned out because we ended up having 35 partners sign up on our official application. We had 5 companies that are Fortune 50 companies say that they wanted to come to Nevada and do their drone testing, and we're very confident that we're going to win one of those first 10 spots. So with that comes immediate volume of flight, and it also comes with regulatory approvals to be able to fly BVLOS, to be able to fly higher than 400 feet, etc., things like that. So that's another huge benefit of why we think we're going to win. We had every single city and county sign up as a partner in the entire state. We couldn't do anything in the restricted airspace. That was one of the restrictions. It had to be in the NAS. But we had every single county and city in the state sign up as partners, whether that be Metro with their drone program. Nevada, slowly but surely, the public safety entities are becoming leaders in the U.S. in their public safety drone operations, which is extremely exciting. Yeah. No, go for it. Go for it. Sure. Yeah, admittedly, we've had a gap, I think, in small business development in the state, and I'm saying that from my past, being a small business drone company in Nevada. We're trying to do everything that we can to boost cash flow opportunities because that's all that really matters at the right here, right now, is keeping companies alive, keeping them afloat, getting more notoriety, and so we're trying to increase the number of solicitations, the Nevada Air Tasking Orders that we send out to industry, because that's the quickest and most direct way to cash flow opportunities. And so that's really our strategy to not only economic development but growing the local small businesses, giving them opportunities to make some money and conduct operations at a large scale. Anything else? Artie. Sure. So right now we have 4 employees and 5 to 10 full-time contractors. Chris Wallach is our senior director. Chris is a 25-year Army aviator, Apache Longbow. Our entire staff except for me is former military. Our deputy director has a similar background, Army aviator. We have Air Force. We have Navy. We have commercial pilots. I'm the only one that's not a pilot and not former military. I'm director of business development. Chris is the senior director. Dean Keck is our deputy director, also has an Army aviation background. And then we have an administrative assistant that helps us out with the administrative side. And then the 5 to 10 contractors that we have all have similar backgrounds in military flight, and they were generally project specific. We're starting to do a lot more internationally. We just announced a partnership with the country of Poland. We're going to be setting up a center of excellence where they send over it's the Institute of Aviation in Poland, and they're going to be sending over their UAV programs, their engineers, to come here and collaborate with folks like all of you. So we're trying to do more on the international, level. So it's a vast array of experience and backgrounds that we have, which we think is a benefit. We are always looking for pilots. Yeah, we're always, the majority of our COAs, because of the complexity of our mission, require private pilot's license. So we're gonna have to have more than Part 107. But we're also looking for people to help lead the organization. And we're still new, we're still small, and so any type of expertise that's in this room, we are more than happy to talk and see what we can do together and to help grow the industry, because I think we'd all like it to move faster. We're trying to move it as fast as we try and move the needle, but you're right, I should. It's at Nias, Nevada. Yep. Any other questions or anything direct? Oh. Sure. Sure. And we have. I think that resource constraints have been an issue as far as holding an event and bringing on an event here. We have been talking to AFWorks on how to partner on an event like that, where we're going to get a combination of military defense contractors flying as well as startups, and to host a joint event here in Southern Nevada. So those talks are ongoing, but to date, no specific events. Yeah. Anything else?
Fantastic. Our first presenter. So you can see the collaboration here, looking to facilitate. So their biggest thing is pilots. I know there was an email they sent out about a month ago. So anyone in the room or somebody, connect them. I don't know if I can get back to our slides here. Can I get back to the desktop? Or I think we only had like one or two maybe left. T-Mac is leaving the room. Wave goodbye. Great guy. He knows a lot of stuff and people. Wow. It's fine. So we have till 5:30. We have to be out of the room, so packed up, but that's roughly about 45 minutes. We end at 5 o'clock. Do you have a question, George? Or oh, come back, Brett. Too late. I think we had one or two. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, join the movement. We're all here to. Yeah, it came up after you left. We're all here to help each other. Anything, whatever you all do, and building bridges for collaboration. And I will put out whatever. I'm going to put Air Force Works link in. I'm going to put Jeff's email. I'll put a link for this video. I'm going to put some pictures from it. It's going to spread the word around. And just look forward to our upcoming events. And it's going to be great. And we have a beautiful facility here for holding this. Really grateful for Innovation Center for hosting us. And any NDIA questions? so y'all understand what it is pretty good. Ah, a board member has a question. George, do you know anything about that, George? The cost? I think it's okay. So for yeah, I'll put that link in there again too. I think it was in the meeting announcement, but yeah. Okay. Anything else? So yeah, so we have a lot of light snacks over there before y'all head home for dinner, and appreciate again. And Brett, you are our first headliner presentation, and really appreciate you briefing us on all this, and what you guys do. So yeah, and as Jeff said, it's we're all here for you, and looking forward to it. This organization has been very successful everywhere else they have it, so why not here? So, and maybe even better here than anywhere else. Eventually, we'll grow into that. So, thanks again for coming. Some snacks, plenty of stuff, and we'll keep you informed. You're on my list.